Well, so I've never done live like this before on YouTube. I actually just got on YouTube to make a video about some of my experiences. I was talking with a friend of mine uh, last night, and he was suggesting that I try to make a YouTube channel or a YouTube video, and you know that I've been I've traveled, I think, now to 25 countries on the planet. And I mean, I love to travel. I actually fell in love with traveling when I was 22 years old. I think it was the first time I'd ever left the United States. I went with a group from the University of Tennessee to Tennessee to Poland, to Eastern Poland. And anyway, I had never left the U.S. and I don't know how to really explain it, because when you're isolated only to your own culture, your own way of life, like it limits. It's the only thing that you know, and it's the only thing you've been exposed to, and it's the only thing you're familiar with. But when you do a cross cultural experience or travel, to another culture, then you get to experience life. You have a life experience on a personal level that's completely brand new, and it's like it's something. It's kind of like tasting food for the first time, something you've never eaten before or tried, and it just changed. And then the other part of it for me was how it changed me emotionally, mentally, psychologically. And the big thing that I really enjoyed, to be honest with you, were the Polish girls. The way that the Polish women were treating me, I had never experienced before in my life, and I liked it. I really, I craved it. I don't know how to really explain it. They were kind, they were nice, they were approachable. Uh, Whereas when I was in the States, I always felt like, for whatever reasons, that women were unapproachable, and they always seemed to have this attitude of snobbish, might be the right word, or cruel and mean. Um, you know, but of course, maybe the Polish girls were only being nice because they thought there was something that you could help them, you could give them something, they could get something from you that they couldn't get from a Polish guy. So it was kind of an opportunity. So that was the motive behind them being nice to you. I don't know, but neither here nor there. On my side of the street, it's like something I had never experienced before. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful young ladies, man. I just it drove me crazy. And then the one thing that I want to talk about today specifically involves the Philippines, because this friend of mine last night is thinking about traveling to the Philippines and going to the Philippines for the first time. They've never been there before, but they've been to Mexico. And what I would like to warn a lot of, I guess, not foreign, but Western men looking to get involved in relationships with women from third world countries, is there's a lot of differences. I mean, it can be a great life with someone from a third world country. Don't get me wrong, Um, but it has uh, their motives for being involved in for them being involved in your life, and your motivations for being involved in their life are completely different world, completely different. You're not on the same page when it comes to that, for the most part, in a lot of experiences. And one thing that I've experienced on a personal level is with a foreign woman. I was involved with a girl before from Cebu. I met her on some dating app, and we met each other at the airport. This was like 2000. This is a long time ago. It was probably 13. I'm pretty sure it was 13 or 13, 14 years ago. It's quite some time ago. That wasn't 13. Anyhow, I met her, and then we got involved as like some kind of summer romance. She worked in a factory there in Cebu near the airport, a cell phone factory or something, just a factory worker. And she eventually got a job in Taiwan and went to work in Taiwan. But I lived maybe only 10 minutes from where she lived, and she calls me one day on Skype, and I thought it was kind of odd. Why wasn't she calling me on my Filipino cell phone number? Because I had a cell phone number there in the Cebu or in the Philippines. And so why wasn't she calling me and on that number? Why was she calling me on Skype? It was kind of weird. But when we got into the phone conversation, I realized why she had called me on Skype. So she calls me on Skype and she says, "Hey, hon, how are you doing?" The regular small superficial talk that I've had a dozen times. You know, and then she said, "I just wanted to call and let you know that I'm pregnant." And anyhow, yeah, I said, "Congratulations, who's the father?" And then that's when she said, "You are." And I said, "Well, how many weeks pregnant are you?" And she said, "I'm 8 weeks pregnant." I said, "Oh, really?" I knew that she was telling me a lie, like making a complete story up. Um, but I just went along with it. I let her tell me whatever her lies stories were. And I said, "Well, hold on, Humph. I'll be right over there." So I hang up the telephone and get on my scooter, and I ride over there to her house. And I pull up, and her eyes get real big, like, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" And I give her a big hug, and I kind of lift her shirt up, and I look at her belly, and it's flat as a pancake. And I said, "You don't look like you're 8 weeks pregnant." And she said, "Oh, I got rid of it." I said, "You got rid of that baby in 10 minutes?" I said, 10 minutes ago in our phone conversation, you were 8 weeks pregnant with my child, and you decided to get rid of it without even talking to me or anything. So, um, I found it kind of shocking that this female didn't have any problem, coming up with this huge fucking drama or story about being pregnant. And basically, the bottom line was she was hoping to get me to start sending money to her, send money and send money to support her and this fake pretentious baby. So, these type of things now, um, these type of problems, I don't know. I mean, if you dated someone from your own culture, I don't know, you could have the same kind of problems, I think. Maybe in just different, maybe a few different, you know, technicalities. And then, you know, that just destroyed my for me. After having that, I just did not take the females there seriously. I just assumed that they were lying to me and playing games with me and deceiving me, and in one way or another trying to get some financial aid or some benefit from being involved with me. You know, whatever exactly that was. If it was just cash. Now another story that I had, because I've got a house in DePeton City, and my neighbor down the road is a retired GM motor worker, I think, out of Michigan, and he's typically spends half of his year in the Philippines and then the other half back here in the States, because he's retired. He doesn't need to work. Uh, so he's not nailed down to a job somewhere. But he was telling me one night when I was over there, we sat around at a little like cantina down in DePeton City, and we were talking, and he was sharing with me about a American man from Michigan, a neighbor or friend of his, that had met a Filipino girl from Bislig, the city of Bislig, which is eastern Mindanao. If you Google Bislig, it's Bislig, and they have a lake there, Bislig River or Lake, beautiful, absolutely beautiful place, and they have waterfalls there, and those waterfalls are beautiful as well. But anyhow, this guy, this American guy from Michigan, had met this Filipino girl from that town, and he flew over to the Philippines and proposed marriage to her and married her and got her a U.S. visa to come back to the United States and go back to his home in Michigan. Well, this man was well-to-do. He had a house that was paid for. He had a shop that was paid for, and everything that was his was all paid for. He didn't have a mortgage or any type of things hanging over him. So during the course of their stay in Michigan, this female somehow convinced this American guy to liquidate everything that he owned, everything to his name in Michigan, his house, everything, hop on a plane and fly back to the Philippines, go back to Bislig, and then construct a brand new house in Bislig for him and this girl to live in. Sounds like a great experience, right? There's only a small problem. This American man was discovered murdered in his brand new house in Bislig. Well, his wife's alibi was she was in Cebu City in a hotel room with her Filipino boyfriend. So I guess her and her boyfriend's plan was to get this guy to commit to building this property and then get rid of him, and then she will get to keep his house that he built and move her boyfriend in, and they'll live happily ever after. Okay, and I'll give you another case. There was a French man in Palawan. You can look this up online. He met a Filipino girl in Palawan. I think he was in his mid-50s, and She was like 20, early 20s, 20, 25, that age bracket. They had a 4-year-old daughter, and he had plenty of wealth. He had lots of money, and he actually come to Palawan. He purchased with cash, I assume, 4 or 5 or 6 brand new dump trucks, and got a contract with the government to haul dirt or road construction, something like that. And he hired a Filipino to manage his business. Okay. Well, somehow in the arrangement, the manager, the Filipino male manager, was receiving the payments from the government for the company. Somehow, I'm not sure exactly the details, because I wasn't an investigator on the case, but what happened, according to an article I read, was that the French man and his 25-year-old wife and his 4-year-old daughter were in his pickup truck, and they were on their way from their house. They had called this manager and told him that they were coming there to get their payment, to get the money. I mean, it was his company anyway. Well, they found the French guy, the 25-year-old female Filipino wife, and the 4-year-old female daughter with gunshot wounds executed. The French guy they were all executed in a car. And the number one suspect was the Filipino manager. And this is the problem there. If you're a foreigner and you have a lot of wealth and money, and you go there and you involve certain Filipinos, they get it in their mind that all they got to, it's theirs. But it's not, and all they got to do is kill you or get rid of you, and it's they just take it. It's jealousy and envy. And then I heard about another case in Cebu. There was a German man. I forgot the name. I would love to have him on. I would actually love to have some of these people that are alive to come on and talk and share their story, because people need to understand what type of situations you could be getting yourself involved in when you go overseas like this, or at least in the Philippines. I'm only speaking about the Philippines, Thailand, Cambodia, other parts of the world. I don't know it, but my guess is it would be similar. The locals have rights and privileges, and no matter how amount and length of stay you there, you're just a foreigner to them. So I think it was Leyte. There was an American man married a Filipino. I don't even know where he met her. But him and his Filipino wife had lived in Leyte for 20 or 25 years. Long time. They had a plantation there, and they harvested fruits and whatnot. Well, they found this American man dead. Well, the problem was his wife had a brother, and out of the kindness of his heart, he employed this girl's brother just to give him a job. Well, the brother got pissed off because he felt like the American guy wasn't paying him enough money. So he decided to kill the American guy, when the American guy was doing a favor for the man in the first place. Do you see what I'm saying? But this is the way they think about you in their country. They get full of jealousy and envy, especially the Filipino men, because they got fuck all in their life. They got a shit fucking life. And here you come rolling into town with all your bags of money, and you got the nice girl. You got a life that is never going to be a life they're going to have in their country. You see? and they can't take it. They cannot freaking take it. The jealousy and envy eats them alive within. Okay. And the only thing they know do is the other thing, they'll try to steal your woman. They'll try to start fucking your woman, and then they get to keep all your shit, your house, your car. You know, they think if I just get this Filipino girl away from him, you know. So that goes on. So anyway, that yeah, that's the one story. The other one I heard about, a German man met a Filipino girl in Cebu. He went over there and built or constructed he invested 3 million pesos to build a house there. Anyhow, you know, he just stayed for a month or two or whatever his vacation and went back to Germany to go back to work. Well, life goes on. Well, what his girlfriend was doing, without even talking to him about it, right? Like being open and honest and communicating. She went to the bank and filed for a equity loan using this house as collateral without this guy's knowledge, apparently. And she was taking the money and go the cash, the liquidity or whatever, the cash, and going to the casino and gambling. So this German, the way that he found out that the way that he was informed that his girlfriend or wife or whatever had taken a home equity loan out against his property was when he flew back to the Philippines, walked up to his house and tried to insert his key into his house. The key wouldn't work. And he didn't know what was going on. So, you know, there's that. Then another story. That guy basically learned that he had lost his house. He didn't even have a house anymore. The bank had foreclosed on it and taken control. And I guess his girl run off with somebody else or did something else, something like that. You know. So you know when I there's not all the stories are like these. I mean, there's some good ones. I think I'm sure they are, but there's another case I heard of a retired U.S. There was a colonel in the U.S. Air Force, retired. He met a girl somewhere around in the Baguio area. I don't know how he met her, but he met her. And apparently she had 2 or 3 children from a Filipino or something like that. And anyhow, what happened? He was discovered dead, this colonel. And I don't know, somehow he had connections to the embassy in Manila or something like that. So the embassy got involved, and the NBI, the National Bureau of Investigation, got involved. And when they discovered who killed him, it was one of the boys. The colonel had a routine of giving the three boys, I think it was three boys, a weekly allowance. And so one week, the oldest boy was very disrespectful and rude to his mother. And so the colonel, trying to punish this kid's behavior, wouldn't give him his allowance. So the kid killed the colonel over that, not getting his allowance. Of course, that kind of stuff could happen anywhere. But it's just something that you need to be aware of. And when I was working in Mindanao, there was an Australian guy come over to what's the name of that town? I done forgot. It's been so long ago. Epeel, I think is the name of it. Yeah, Epeel, I think. Yeah, Zamboanga. Right. So there's this little village. It's called Epil. Ipil. He met a Filipino girl there. He moved there, and he built a house there. And he'd actually been living there, I think, for 2 years. And when I was working over there in 2012, he got kidnapped. And I was wondering, should I get out of here? I mean, I'm not that far away. I don't want to get kidnapped. Um, so anyway, they I don't know whatever happened to the guy. I worked there at the resort for about a year, and then I left, and I went and worked on the tuna boats. And after working on the tuna boats, I went back. And when I went back, he was still in the news. They were still in the jungle, and he was being moved around and everything, you know. And yeah, it's just another world over there. I mean, he was still alive like a year, almost 2 years after, when I started at the resort, but he's been dragged around the jungle everywhere. And they hadn't killed him, and they certainly hadn't got any money for him. So, the way they look at you over there is you're just money. You're not a human. They don't look at you as a human being. They look at you as money to feed their family. Kidnapping is a business, and they want you to participate in a certain way. Now, I will tell you some other experiences I had in one of the very first times I went to the Philippines. I sat beside a guy, an older gentleman, who seemed very like he seemed well informed, and especially when it comes to women. And he was telling me, he said, don't ever take a woman to where you actually live. Don't do that. Just take them to a hotel. And then he said, always carry a wallet with just 100 pesos in it, a small amount of money, things like that. And then what else did he say? He said, if you ever get pulled over by the police, offer the police to take them to KFC or McDonald's or like somewhere for food. And coming from the States, that don't really do much, but I listen to them. And the experience I want to share with you is that one day I was riding my motorcycle near the airport, and this motorcycle policeman waved me down, and I pulled over, and it was two motorcycle policemen, and right across the road was a KFC chicken. So I thought, why not try that? I mean, that guy told me to. I've got nothing to lose. So I said, "Hey guys, are you hungry?" I rubbed my tummy and I said, "Hey, you hungry? Let's go have some food at KFC." They still wanted to see my driver's license, which I showed it to them. But then they said, "Yeah, let's go." So we all three ride our motorcycles over there, pull over, and I bought them a two piece chicken meal. And one of the cops, they never give me a ticket, never tried to arrest me or impound, like no trouble. They looked at my driver's license, and that was the end of the official part of it. Oh, and anyhow, the sorry, I've never done this before, so I'm trying to learn how this YouTube live works. Yeah. So anyway, that was experience. I've had so many experiences in the Philippines specifically. I worked. I got sucked into the flying helicopters on the tuna boats, and I got to go to different island countries like Solomon Islands, which I would actually like. I would love to get a job as a helicopter pilot in the Solomon Islands and like explore the islands. It looks beautiful from what I've seen, and that's a part of the world that interests me. If I could move there and have a job there and have a life there, I think I would like that. Um, yeah, it seems very interesting to me. It's very beautiful, but I flew around the Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea. I flew around Rabaul, which had a lot of significance. I didn't know it at the time when I was flying around there, but then uh, as I've worked on the boats and I had a lot of time to study and read books and things, I realized that the Solomon Islands, I mean, Rabaul was a very big key port during World War II for the Japanese, you know. And but anyway, I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm kind of digressing because I was talking about the Philippines and these relationships problems and cross cultural problems. Um, I think just to stay on topic and not digress, which I'm very good at, is if you're planning a trip to the Philippines, or you've met a Filipino woman that you want to get involved with, or you're planning to pursue a relationship with, um, all I can say is be very careful and cautious because it may feel and even seem to be real, but they honestly don't have any loyalty to you like what you might think. Has been my experience. I mean, for example, I had a girlfriend for 3 years that we were involved with together and everything, and then she went behind my back and she met another American guy online, and he hopped on the plane and came over and asked to marry her, and she married the guy. And I'm thinking, what happened to our 3 year relationship? It was almost as if it didn't matter to her, or it wasn't the value that the relationship held for her was very nominal or shallow, fake, superficial, compared to the value that the relationship held to me. You know, or you can say easy come, easy go. You know, and I guess it all worked out for the best, even though it's been very hard for me to understand how you treat people that way. Like I've tried to learn to be shallow and superficial, but it's not my nature. But oh, I had another girlfriend one time. I'll tell you another experience I had. I was dating this girl, and I got a job at a resort, and then I came home for the holidays, and I didn't know it, but while I was in bed and while I was sleeping, she removed the one of the SIM cards. I had two SIM cards in my phone. She removed one of the SIM cards from my phone and put it in her phone. So the next day, I was getting phone calls through the day, or well, I noticed that I wasn't getting any phone calls, which was kind of odd because I had some things going on. I thought some people would call me, but she was getting a lot of phone calls, and then she would kind of walk away, like and I kept wondering what is she doing? Like who is that? Um, so then I went back to my job at the resort, and I was laying in bed one night, and I looked at my cell phone, and one of the towers was missing. Like there's no SIM card in there. So I took the back off and I looked, and the SIM card was gone. So I immediately called. I know she had done something, and I had never noticed it. And then she goes into this, "Why are you doing that?" Like she's very very controlling and manipulative, and like it was very like that. I didn't feel like that was a good relationship because obviously she didn't trust me, or she was scared to lose me, or if she couldn't control me, then she didn't want to have nothing to do with me. I really don't know, but for me, I just didn't like to be treated that way, and it's almost like she couldn't help herself. And then this same girl that I'm talking about, one time she came over to. I was staying at a friend's house in Manila, in Villa Moore subdivision. Um, a friend of mine's got a 4-story bachelor pad over there, and I basically was occupying the second floor. And this girl comes over and spends the weekend with me, and she goes in and gets in the shower, and she comes out of the shower like with her fingers like this. Now I don't know what she's doing, and she's standing there naked. I mean, tits out, everything. And she says, "What is that?" And I said, "What is what?" She said, "Who whose hair? This is a hair, and it's not my hair. So whose hair is it?" And I'm thinking, my God, what is this interrogation? You know? And it's like I didn't even know what to say to that kind of behavior. It was very weird to me. And I know there's probably other guys out there that's got all these kind of experiences. You know, like uh, um, that was the experience I had. Probably about, I think it was 2011. I was dating a girl, and then I was dating another girl that she couldn't speak much English, uh, and then the thing that I found dating Filipino women when they really love you a lot, but when they're done with you, and they want to move on. They move on very easy. They don't. I don't know how to put it. They I mean, when they're all in, when they're all in with you, they're all in, right? But if they're not, they're not. So anyway, it's late, but I slept late. Sarah, trying to call my daughter. I don't know what's going to happen. Let me see if I can stop here. See what happens. Yeah, yeah.